Hello everyone and welcome back. Game week 1 of the 24-25 Optegra Premiership, where you join myself, Ryan Tipple, for the third game of the day on Court A. Sevenoaks PFC versus Nottinghamshire PFC. Considering how closely matched these two were across the 23-24 campaign, only 3 points separated them at its conclusion. Hopefully means this will be a really closely contested affair. Sevenoaks played three of their four games in game week 1. They started with a brilliant 1-0 victory over West Bromwich Albion Throssels before a really difficult defeat to Newcastle United Foundation. 5-0 that finished. They also opened proceedings here against Aspire today. 2-0 the scoreline, but a marked improvement, defensive structure, stability. So whilst it is a defeat on paper, they will surely take positives into this one, and if they can secure 3 points, 6 points from a possible 12, considering the opposition, is exactly how they'll be wanting to end game week 1. Nottinghamshire similarly have found games difficult. 3 games played yesterday, 3 defeats, 1-0 to West Bromwich Albion Throssels, 4-0 to Leeds Chariot, and 1-0 to Villa Rockets. This is the first game of the day for them. Next up, Middlesbrough PFC at 5 minutes past 3. Arguably their most credible opportunity to register a win. Let's go through the squads quickly. Sevenoaks, only a squad of 4. Harry Beswick, Kyle Alexander, James Mason and Miles Miller. Their coaches Ian Hayward and Miles Miller. On the sideline will be Matthew Stevens. Already mentioned the departures that they've experienced in the off-season. So, team in transition that will probably just have the ultimate objective of securing Premiership safety. Nottinghamshire likewise comprised of Sam Langley, Adam Langley, Matthew Hadfield, Sean Donoghue, Leighton G and Kieran Wade. Their coach John Langley. I don't think you can really talk about 6-point affairs this early on, but it's almost already shaping up to be incredibly significant. Of course, these two met twice last season. First meeting back in March, ended in a stalemate, 0-0. The second matchup, 13th of April, went in the favour of Sevenoaks. Goals from Harry Beswick and the recently departed Greg Baxter in that one. Repeat or revenge? We will soon see. Live on Court B at the same time. Norwich City looking to secure their first points in the Premiership division. They face West Bromwich Albion Throssels, now coached by Colin Gordon. As always, thank you to all that are tuning in. By all means, get your thoughts and predictions in the comment section, and I will read them out and give shout outs where possible. Sevenoaks just playing it about in their warm-up. Complete opposite for Nottinghamshire. Let's clear the graphics so you can just see the different approach in warm-up. Nottinghamshire just in a huddle on the far side. Match officials for this one in the centre, Pete Westmoreland, complemented by Jeff Lewis and Mark Kerrison. The real story for Nottinghamshire in game week 1 of the new season, the acquisition of Sean Donoghue. Republic of Ireland international, was part of the 2023 Fit for Power Chair Football World Cup squad in Sydney, Australia. Both he and his brother, who represents Norwich City, coming to test their abilities in England's top division, which is fantastic to see. Looks as if he will be comprising that starting squad. Maybe an unfamiliar role for him, to the best of my recollection. For the Republic of Ireland, he's utilised as a goalkeeper. Has a fantastic connection with his brother. The National League regulations stipulate teams can only bring in one overseas player, so shows how driven they are to test their abilities in England. The fact that even the inconvenience of them competing for different clubs, which no doubt comes with different training regimes and times, they're still here anyway. So the captains are in. Kyle Alexander of Sevenoaks, Matthew Hadfield of Nottinghamshire. We will be underway very shortly. We just switch ends. So Nottinghamshire, the closest team to your screens. In red, Sevenoaks in the familiar blue and black stripes. Thumbs up from both keepers. And we are underway. Sevenoaks versus Nottinghamshire, game week 1 of the 2024-25 Optegra Premiership. Early pressure from Nottinghamshire via Sean Donoghue as they line up. Sevenoaks have James Mason, Kyle Alexander, Miles Miller and Harry Beswick. And Nottinghamshire, Matthew Hadfield, Sam Langley, Sean Donoghue and Leighton G. Substitutes on the bench, Kieran Wade and Adam Langley. Alex Dowding and George Barnard bringing the action live on Court B between Throssels and Norwich. Also live across the WFA's YouTube channel for anyone wanting to watch that one. But thank you everyone that's tuning in to me on my own for this one. So get your comments in. Harry Beswick can't quite catch up to that ball, so Nottinghamshire receive the kick in from Pete Westmoreland. Sam Langley to take. Sean Donoghue into the side of James Mason. A break for Harry Beswick. Slightly square that ball. Had it been a little bit more angled, it would have favoured Miles Miller a little bit more. Either way, he's able to attempt an effort, a tame dribble into the defensive structure comprised of Matthew Hadfield and Sam Langley. Nottinghamshire yet to register a goal this season. Sevenoaks with a single strike to their names in that 1-0 victory over West Bromwich Albion Throssels yesterday morning. Sam Langley to take. Immediately intercepted by Harry Beswick, closed down by Miles Miller, congested in that final third. 2-on-1 in favour of Nottinghamshire. Already, I think we can see the intent from Sevenoaks. Front foot aggressors in the opening 2.5 minutes. They'll be desperately looking to open the scoring. I think it's almost a cliche, but the opening goal could be really important. It's irrelevant how they do it. They get the win. Sam Langley comes over to take, down to Leighton G, goes all the way through, controlled by Carl Alexander. Big season for the Sevenoaks captain. Been a difficult couple of seasons. All those unaware, he was present in the England squad that flew to Florida, the World Cup in 2017. Sadly, he's been able to break back into the setup since, but shows he has the quality if he applies himself and finds that consistency. Beswick into Alexander, closed down by Sam Langley. Very fragmented start to this one. Should there be any goals on Court B, I'll endeavour to bring you them. Second or third 2-on-1 in the last couple of minutes. In terms of average age, Sevenoaks with the youngest across our 12-team division. Average age of 20.75. Nottinghamshire with one of the oldest on 22, which shows how similar our teams are in terms of the average age. As highlighted on commentary, between Newcastle and Villa, the youngest player in our division, 11 years old, the oldest, 49 years old. So nearly 40 years separate the oldest and the youngest, which just is a testament to the opportunities we're providing for any and everyone with a physical impairment. All the way out of play, down to where I'm situated in the bottom right-hand corner. Mason, all the way out, beautiful ball to Harry Beswick. Slightly too much pace for him to catch up to, but that's what they need to do. They're going to have to break at speed, with accuracy, with precision, and be decisive in their decision making. Spire grew in confidence in that second half against Aspire. Miles Miller had a few opportunities, found himself in a lot of space, put himself into some great areas. Maybe just the decision making that let him down. Slightly different dynamic against Nottinghamshire though. When you're facing a team of the calibre of Aspire, you can almost always expect them to be on the front foot, committing players forward, and your success will really only come from counter-attacks or being able to break at pace. Nottinghamshire aren't really attacking this game, so the spaces in behind are limited in comparison. So it's going to rely on the quality of play for them to register a goal. Cracking game up next on Court B. Teesside PFC against West Bromwich Albion. West Brom dropping points to Greenbank a few minutes ago. 0-0 that finish, a point apiece. Greenbank starting to find their rhythm, as are Nottinghamshire, being a little bit braver. I spoke about Sevenoaks capitalising on Aspire committing players forward. They need to do so with Nottinghamshire as well. Certainly when they're pushing all players forward. Even Matthew Hadfield, the designated goalkeeper, hovering around the centre circle. Nice passing patterns using Kyle Alexander at the base. Miles Miller didn't quite get the connection he would have wanted to send it goalbound, and or Harry Beswick on this alternate wing. Sean Donoghue cushions it back to Sam Langley. 1-2 pass, really nice. Starting to open up. Nice feint from Harry Beswick now. Stays in reverse, which is absolutely brilliant. Nice intent. Crossfield ball. Sam Langley brilliantly positioned to prevent it. But that's exactly what I want to see. The right idea. For him to stay in reverse there was so important. It just opened everything up for him. It's something that's coached at England level. The attacking wide players, for the majority of the game, coaches at the various England levels want to see them stay in reverse. Kyle Alexander mistimes that connection, which allows Nottinghamshire to close the gap. But both teams growing in confidence. They're starting to open up. Ten minutes to go in this first half. Sevenoaks 0, Nottinghamshire 0. As suspected, very closely contested. Beswick, nice cushion pass to James Mason. Little lapse in concentration there and communication between Mason and Alexander. That's really poor between the two. Mason assumed that Kyle Alexander would engage it. Vice versa, the other way, which is a real shame as they were building some pressure in attack. I'm liking the contributions of Harry Beswick so far this game. Miles Miller a little bit more isolated. As the ball from Court B rolls onto Court A, which stops play momentarily. Kick in for Nottinghamshire. Sam Langley. Sean Donoghue in support down that left-hand wing. Across the box. Cleared by Mason. Leighton G. Another player isolated from the play. When referencing him and Miles Mill, it's just about contributing positively when you are involved, which is easier said than done. If you're isolated for large percentages of the game, being alert, maintaining concentration, just as challenging as executing the techniques. Nice feint from Kyle Alexander, beautiful crossfield ball from Harry Beswick, no one there to receive it, but lovely dummy from Kyle Alexander. And likewise with that pass, controlled by Miles Miller, if Sevenoaks can continue with actions such as that, but just increase the pace slightly, they'll really trouble Nottinghamshire. It's just that lack of pace which means that these actions don't bear any fruit. Miles Miller, again, back to James Mason. He's not happy with that ball, which was immediately intercepted by the recently substituted Adam Langley. Let's get confirmation of that on your screens now. Leighton G comes off. Maybe had 2 or 3 touches in the 13 minutes in which he featured Leighton G. Hopefully Adam Langley can contribute a little bit more. Again, beautiful ball, fantastic control. The action to pass was slightly forced from Harry Bestwick, but many times this game, his control on this right-hand wing has been excellent. That's a really lazy cross-field ball there, nearly received by Sean Donoghue. This is the problem with Sevenoaks. They show moments of brilliance, and more so, lapses in concentration and rushed balls, which I'm sure contributes to frustration of the coaches. The positive actions are much harder to coach in these players than coaching out the lapses in concentration. But individual areas have seen Sevenoaks struggle for many seasons now. If they can iron them out their games, they're a real force to be reckoned with. But I'm really enjoying this one. 14 minutes played, still goalless, as is the game on Court B. It's like a tactical game of chess. Whilst the pace isn't at a great level, some of the passages of play have been really promising. More so from Sevenoaks. Nottinghamshire need to demonstrate a little bit more ability in attack, but if they're able to open the scoring, it'll be a real bitter pill to swallow for Sevenoaks, who are under pressure now. Adam Langley just trying to get the better side of Kyle Alexander. Can almost forgive the lack of clinical finishing or passing in the final third for Sevenoaks. Whilst it's 0-0, if they're a goal down, frustration will really start to build. Still plenty of football left to be played though. Adam Langley to take. Final few minutes of the first half. Off the front of James Mason's chair. Well adjusted by Harry Bestwick. He's going to be one-on-one with Matthew Hadfield, who's very advanced. Miles Miller in support. His ultimate duty here, Matthew Hadfield, will be preventing that diagonal ball to Miles Miller on the alternate wing, which he's doing so brilliantly now. Sevenoaks come away with the free kick. Adam Langley. Fired ball by Kyle Alexander. Great control from Adam Langley into Sam Langley. Locked up by Kyle Alexander. Adam Langley. Down to Sam Langley. Turns the favour. Miles Miller intercepts. Out for a Sevenoaks ball. 2.5 minutes to go. Sevenoaks 0, Nottinghamshire 0. No real clear-cut opportunities, but some real positive passages of play, more so from the designated home team. Out for a Nottinghamshire ball. Adam Langley to take. Matthew Hadfield very advanced. Can they weave him into the attacking play? Right intent for Miles Miller. The pick-off no doubt intended for Harry Bestwick. No power on the secondary pick-off from James Mason. You can see they're just constantly looking for Harry Bestwick. Definitely been the standout player in this first 20. Good work from Matthew Hadfield, such a professional player. Gives Nottinghamshire a fantastic foundation. Their challenges have never necessarily come from the lack of defensive stability. It's always the chance creation in attack, which is a sentiment and statement that can be applied to Sevenoaks as well. It's the lack of creativity in the final third that's meant that they've been drawn into them relegation battles in recent seasons. Both have shown at the top division that they can compete. 21-22, Nottinghamshire formidable. Finished 4th in the end, only leapfrogged by Northern Thunder in the final game weekend. And Adam Langley, Sam Langley and Matthew Hadfield certainly were present in that squad comprising the starting 4. So you could arguably say they've strengthened since. Adam Langley starting his first weekend in the National League for over 2 seasons, having been out for a considerable amount of time. So firstly, fantastic to see him playing again at the top division, and they're just trying to re-establish that chemistry which we know can be effective. Kyle Alexander, crossfield ball, cleared by Matthew Hadfield. Harry Bestwick engages. Miles Miller locked in that bottom left-hand corner, so Bestwick takes position on the right despite the calls from Kyle Alexander to take a position in the centre. Final 5 seconds. James Mason to take. Pick off from Miles Miller, heavy contact as the ball's trapped between Langley and Mason. The latter deemed the aggressor. Free kick for Nottinghamshire as we tick over into additional time. Alexander down to Harry Bestwick. Pete Westmoreland blows the whistle for half-time. Sevenoaks 0, Nottinghamshire 0. A really intriguing matchup. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Hopefully continues in that same fashion in the second half, and we could even get some goals. Thank you to all that are joining me. I'll be back very shortly for the second half. Hello everyone and welcome back to game week 1 of the 2024-25 Optegra Premiership, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple. I'm joined on commentary by Greg Baxter for the second half between Sevenoaks and Nottinghamshire. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Yeah, can't keep me away from the commentary box.
No, you can't. You've got a big game following this, am I right?
Massive game, massive game. West Bromwich Albion.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's always a difficult one facing West Bromwich Albion, but they're coming off the back of dropping points to Greenbank, so they will want to bounce back with a vengeance against Teesside, who are on course to secure maximum points across game week 1, which will see them end the weekend top of the tree, because I think they're going to amass a much more favourable goal difference than anyone else due to that earlier 8-0 win. 9-0 win over Norwich City, who are currently holding their own against West Bromwich Albion Throssels. On this court, a really intriguing, interesting first half between Sevenoaks and Nottinghamshire. 0-0 on the scoreline. Sevenoaks probably the better of the two teams. They showed real elements of quality. Harry Beswick, fantastic. Kyle Alexander with some beautiful feints and dummies in the centre to open up play out wide. Miles Miller very isolated. Nottinghamshire couldn't quite get the formula right. Nothing to really trouble James Mason in the Sevenoaks net. But they have 20 minutes to try and influence the result. They've got a much larger squad with 2 substitutes at their disposal. With your recent departure to Teesside, a very thin squad for Sevenoaks now, so they're going to have to adapt and adjust with what they've got. But what they showed in the first 20 means they have the quality to do it. This will be a really important win if they're able to get it, and 6 points from a possible 12 is a brilliant start to the season for them, considering they only got 4 wins last season.
Yes. Can't tell you what we grafted for those 4 wins, though. God, boy, did we graft for those 4 wins.
Well, you were so similarly matched with Nottinghamshire, and it was, I think, only really the final weekend of action back in June that saw you put a little bit of a buffer between yourself and the bottom placements of the table. Sevenoaks finishing in 8th, Nottinghamshire in 9th, just 3 points apart. I think it was goals that are really hard to come by, certainly in the opening few weekends of the season for Sevenoaks. Across the entirety of the 23-24 season, Sevenoaks only scored 12 goals. So they're going to want to add goals to their tally. We're underway here, immediately taken by Kyle Alexander. Only 1 goal registered in game week 1 of the 24-25 Optegra Premiership. Scored yesterday in their game against West Bromwich Albion Throssels. That one was scored by Harry Beswick.
I mean, the good thing from a Sevenoaks point of view is they have a win on the board. Because last year it took us to the final game of game week 3 to get our first win on the board. Yeah,
absolutely. Should they be able to get 3 points here, 2 wins in the opening weekend, considering they've faced Newcastle and Aspire. Looking around them, Norwich having been beaten in every fixture. Nottinghamshire, likewise, if they lose here, already they're putting a buffer between themselves and the bottom placements. So much football to be played, but as you rightfully pointed out, they really struggled to get that first win on the board in 23-24. Starting the new campaign with 2 will stand them in good stead as the season unfolds.
Especially as it's going to be one of the most, if not the most competitive we've had. Oh, that was so nice.
Yeah, really nice. Beautiful crossfield ball from Miles Miller. Harry Beswick millimetres away from making connection with that with the front bumper. But it was from Alexander to Beswick. Cushioned it out to Miller. Had they scored that, that would have been one of the best goals I've seen them score in quite some time.
Yeah, you said the pass from Harry was...
It was the weight of pass.
Perfect. Miles got his connection right. Harry just couldn't get there.
You weren't here for the first half, but I said on commentary, some of the actions that they were executing in the first 20 were absolutely brilliant. All they needed to do was pick up the pace. And with the pace, they would trouble Nottinghamshire a lot more.
Some ball from James Mason there, by the way.
Yeah, didn't quite get the connection.
That's the thing. Obviously, I know firsthand, having played with them for the last 3 or 4 years, with having a discussion here between referee and assistant in the far corner, Adam McAvoy, who's now the England manager, wants Sevenoaks to play football the right way. Attacking phase, 4 out if we can, and it's just been that fine execution that's just let us down last year and the year before. But if they can get it right, they play really good football.
Yeah, and we saw essences of that in the first half of this game. James Mason just inside the Nottinghamshire half. You said that Adam McAvoy was trying to impart elements of the 4-out the system within the Sevenoaks game. We didn't see a great deal of that in the first 20, but already James Mason being brave to try and contribute to attacking phases of play. If and when they did do it in the first, there was lapses in concentration and communication between himself and Kyle Alexander, which almost presented Nottinghamshire with some opportunities. In the break, they switched it up. They've switched it up. Kieran Wade on in place of Sean Donoghue. James Mason fires an error goal bound.
Whistle's gone.
Not before the whistle was blown. Very stationary Nottinghamshire defence, which meant that they processed that whistle quicker than I did.
Go back down to earth, Ryan. Back down to earth.
Either way, it was a lovely connection, and the accuracy was there from James Mason. Very fragmented, though, in this second.
Was it 3 in the box there? Given a free kick. Was it 3 in the box or contact on Kyle Alexander?
I was too busy with my Peter Drury-esque celebratory commentary. But free kick, indirect. Kyle Alexander to take, has to go via the chair of an opponent or teammate. Into the side of Miles Miller, tries to sneak it behind Sam Langley on the right. And knocking on the door, Sevenoaks here.
Started really well. Started really, really well. Don't get all the way around that, has Alexander. 2-on-1, both Kieran Wade and Sam Langley going for that one. Not quite right there from Miles Miller, and a chance for Kieran Wade to bring it away.
Mason, met by Sam Langley.
He's done well. Good play from Miles Miller there, winning the kick in.
It's a very strange decision from Harry Bestwick, and that just touches on a point I made in the first half. Individual errors and decision making, typically the undoing of Sevenoaks.
Was that on Harry or was that on Kyle? I thought he leathered the ball a bit too close to Harry's in front of him.
I think he could have been potentially prepared a little bit more, angled his chair to ensure that it went out deeper. Either way, whether I'm referencing one of the two players, just decision making needs to be at the forefront of everything you do.
It's the difference between those very good players and those elite players. See that decision making. I must admit, it does feel very strange sat here watching Sevenoaks play.
Yeah.
And not and not involved.
Kieran Wade's going to have an opportunity at the back post. Tries to sneak it behind Kyle Alexander. Didn't quite get the connection, otherwise it would have been surely an opening goal for the Nottinghamshire number 17. It's a real let-off for Sevenoaks, who are going to try and break now at pace. Harry Beswick takes control really nicely. Miles Miller in support. He switches the play. Pick off from James Mason. Cleared by Matthew Hadfield. Danger still live. That's what they're going to need to do. Break at pace. Congested central area. 2-on-1 in favour of Sevenoaks. But from what was almost a certain Nottinghamshire goal, they broke at pace. I think they'll really struggle to process anything other than a point here. If Nottinghamshire go on to win this game, Sevenoaks will be kicking themselves, because they've been on the ascendancy, they've had the quality, just not clinical enough in the final third. We saw a lapse in concentration there, which nearly gifted Nottinghamshire their goal. They just need to build upon the foundation laid already.
What a couple of minutes of play that was.
And this is...
that should have... Let's not be around the bush. That should have been buried.
This is very, very similar to the first half. You came over at half-time and I said, this is a brilliant game. The scoreline doesn't reflect some of the quality that the teams have shown. 11 and a half minutes left.
It should be 1-0 Nottingham, because that...
Yeah, absolutely.
The near post was wide open. It nearly went in anyway. A bit more power and it would have got in behind. But then the play from Sevenoaks, the patience, hitting it back and forth with the keeper, and then switching it, that is England.
The most credible goal-scoring opportunity we've had all game fell to Kieran Wade. But yeah, exactly what you said in terms of breaking at pace and accuracy. We're going to get a substitute for Nottinghamshire. Leighton G on in place of Sam Langley. Quickly taken.
Miles Miller just wasn't in any sort of position to do anything there.
Yellow card for James Mason.
He'd been warned. He'd been warned about contact, and then he's absolutely swiped there.
Can Nottinghamshire replicate that passage of play? Saw them break away a few minutes ago. Matthew Hadfield and Adam Langley now comprising that 1-2 pivot. Just in discussion into Leighton G. Couldn't quite get the angle to pick it off to Kieran Wade. The more I watch this sport, the more I recognise that chair preparation and anticipation are so important. I don't think Leighton G was quite prepared to receive that or guide it over to Kieran Wade. Adam Langley to take.
I just say Sevenoaks are building out from the back extremely well.
It's really nice football.
And I've said it, it's exactly the England tactic. Getting the winger in, playing little 1-2s with the goalkeeper in the edge of the box, and either sending it back with the winger or switching it across. It's something we introduced into the Sevenoaks play last year, but this is a couple of the best examples I've seen them do.
And if Adam McAvoy is watching or watches this retrospectively, he will be very impressed with what his former side are doing. If they can get that goal and subsequent 3 points, so there's a real foundation for the whole team to build upon, because they have been excellent. Leighton G controls, tries to weave past James Mason, which he does so. Kieran Wade has to consider his positioning to avoid a 2-on-1.
Reversing in there. Yellow card for Adam Langley. I'm assuming he's been warned a couple of times. I obviously didn't see the first half, so I don't know who got warned and who didn't. But I'm assuming, because that's a accumulation yellow card, I'm assuming.
To my recollection, I don't recall any real tickings off, but Pete Westmoreland doing a good job overseeing this, trying to keep it as open as possible.
You know what has been good? Sorry, Ryan. Plenty of new referees in the Premiership this weekend.
Yeah, it's the match officiating kind of line-up we have at our disposal now, the best it's ever been. Pete Westmoreland, one of them, having begun his match officiating career more recently. Megan Harley-Buller officiating on Court B. And on the topic of officiating, we've already acknowledged on commentary, Millie Bean will be the proud recipient of a Steve Baxter Memorial coin, having officiated 100 National League games in the centre. The Steve Baxter Memorial coin, an acknowledgement we created a season or two ago in memory of your dad, to acknowledge the top performing officials in our country. So congratulations to her, the youngest recipient as well, by quite some margin.
Did she get that 100th game? Was it last game, or was it the game was it the Seaside game?
I can tell you exactly which game it was. Versus Newcastle, Newcastle Sevenoaks yesterday. 5-0 win for Newcastle, which she was centering.
Would have been quite something if her 100th game had been a game I was playing in the Steve Baxter coin. That'd have been
poetry in motion.
Gave Pete Taylor his Steve Baxter coin yesterday?
Yeah, Pete Taylor, the 10th recipient of the Steve Baxter Memorial coin, having ticked over into 100 last season. Millie Bean, the 11th recipient. James Mason switches the play. Beswick, crossfield ball. Miles Miller there to receive, blocked by Adam Langley. Nice expansive play. James Mason now in that 4-out kind of role, contributing to attack.
Really good switch of play. Really good switch of play. 5 minutes. Can either side find a winner?
It's an interesting one that I can presume that both teams will be disappointed if they're not able to get the 3 points. Sevenoaks, the better of the two across the 35 minutes played, but Nottinghamshire with the clearest opportunity to register a goal via Kieran Wade. So both will be kicking themselves if they're not able to get 3 points, considering how closely contested the bottom placements in the 24-25 Optegra Premiership will be. Still a few minutes for one of these players to influence the result. Adam Langley to take. Can he pull on his experience? Leighton G slightly forced. I'd like to have seen him potentially go back to Adam Langley. There was never a gap there to squeeze it between Kyle Alexander and that left-hand post. Potential break for Harry Beswick.
Penny for Sean Donahue's thoughts? I don't know if he played the first
Played
half?
the full 20
in
the first half. Very isolated on the high, wide left of Nottinghamshire. But same as Kieran Wade in this half, beyond that opportunity, very isolated, had little to no involvement. Adam Langley, attempt and effort. The last time these two met, Sevenoaks secured the 2-0 win. I referenced your goal on that. Before that, 0-0. So their first meeting of the 23-24 season was a stalemate, barring a late moment of magic here. It will be the same. Positives to take from both.
The penalty drama on Court B. Next to us, as we get the drama in the last 2.5 minutes here on Court A.
If that is a penalty in the final 2 minutes and it is locked at 0-0, Norwich could potentially get their first 3 points of the season, and confirmation of that following it being taken on this court.
That's not good for Nottingham, I don't think.
Yeah, controversy with the penalties. As per the WFA utilisation of the penalty rule, the goalkeeper cannot move, so anyone watching on Court A will be seeing the action unfold. Final 2 minutes here. Adam Langley with the kick in on the right hand side. Into James Mason. Out to Harry Beswick. Controls it nicely. Tries to connect with the rotate spin kick. So the penalty on Court B has been taken 3 times. Every time it has been taken by Tom Donaher. Regan Kemp in the Throssell's net has moved. Just got himself a yellow card, and he's going to be taken for a 4th time. Serious drama at the Lee Western Sports Centre. We're now approaching the final minute here. Regan Kemp saves at the 4th time of asking, so it remains Norwich City 0, West Bromwich Albion and Throssell's 0. Final minute, Greg, from what you've seen in this second half. Your player of the match, and then I'll contribute with what I saw in the first 20.
It's one of 2, I reckon. And I so nearly gave it to James Mason. And I will say James Mason, because I think his distribution from the back has been exceptional. And again, look at that, great example.
Case in point, absolutely.
My honourable mention would have been Harry Beswick, but James Mason for me, they've got a clean sheet. I've been really impressed with their distribution as well.
First 20, Harry Beswick, the clear standout, was absolutely fantastic in terms of his techniques, his tactics, his setup, his positioning. But the facilitator behind him, James Mason, absolutely, you rightfully point out, he's been really important. His distribution has been key. And we're now ticking into regulation, additional time. Sevenoaks have an indirect free kick right on the edge of the box. Can they cause an upset? Can they secure 3 points so late on?
Fired towards Miles Mirror.
Out to Harry Beswick, cross the face of goal. Matthew Hadfield does well to angle his chair, so it's just out of danger on the left.
Chance here.
Leighton G, cross the face of goal. Had he squeezed the ball between Alexander and Mason, Kieran Way would have been given another opportunity to score, but doesn't on that occasion. What a game. Sevenoaks 0, Nottinghamshire 0. Thank you to all that have tuned in, to myself and Greg. Hope you can tune into other games in game week 1 of the 24-25 Optegra Premiership. Thank you all.